Shabbat Shalom. Well, I am Rabbi Monica Kleinman, and I am joined this evening on the Bima joined by Leslie Zucker, Larry Meyer, Warren Sickle, as well as our technical team in the back. A big thank you goes out to our BOW committee for bringing us beyond our walls, as well as to our digital docents who manage our streaming. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome Hilary Cohen Singer, Executive Director of Jewish Vocational Services here in Kansas City. Hilary will be leading our Beit Kenesset this evening after our closing prayers.
This weekend marks Refugee Shabbat. Our thoughts and prayers are with the recent refugees escaping Ukraine and with those who flee oppression across the world. We are commanded to welcome the stranger. And a little later, we will learn from Hilary how we can turn that commandment into action. And also in honor of Refugee Shabbat, we gave great thought to musical selection, and we are celebrating the music of some of our immigrant composers. You will see on our slides tonight the names of those composers who immigrated to the United States and their countries of birth. You might notice a little somber tone to a lot of this music, and that's from the time period that it came out of and the countries that it came from. But hopefully knowing where these composers came from will help you find even deeper meaning in the melodies that we sing.
Mm-hmm. And it adds another dimension, too, to the variety and diversity that make up our Jewish experience. Two quick notes. For those of you joining us in person with a prayer book in front of you, we are calling the numbers that are in the brackets. And secondly, on your PDF, if you are following along online or you're looking in your handout, you will see a QR code. If you don't need to do it right now, but later, if you would like, you can open your phone's camera app and take a picture. You open the camera and it'll say, do you want to go to this website? And that website is HIAS's, if you're not Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, it's their Shabbat Resources page. And so these are things that congregations all across the world are using this month, and especially this Shabbat, to help make this Shabbat especially meaningful. There's also a list of over a dozen ways you can take action and advocate for refugees in our community and around the world. And after a day like today, where we've unfortunately seen tragedies around the world and even here in our own community, it's good to have some action items on hand to give us some real ways to affect change. And one thing that we do in our Jewish tradition is we not only say things, but we do things. So now it is my pleasure to invite Leslie Zucker to light the Shabbat candles. If you would like to follow along with the blessings, we are on page 120 in the brackets.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, Shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Leslie. We continue now reading together in the English in the middle of page 121. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. You will find Lecha Dodi, our song to welcome Shabbat, on page 138. And we will sing together verses 1, 5, and 9. And upon concluding verse 9, we invite you to remain standing as we transition to the next section of our service, page 138.
Aaron Ben Susan was born in Morocco. You will hear, I added his little introduction to this before we go into Lechado D, and he immigrated to the United States when he was 14 years old. Oh, it's up there. Lechado D, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Lechadoti, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Lechadoti, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Shabu v'zachu b'dibur echad, Hishmianu elam miyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, Lechemu tiferet v'li tila, Lechadodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Lechadodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Hidoreri, Iva Ori, Uri Uri, Shidameri, Adonai hayifika, Lechadoti, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Lechadoti, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Boi v'shalom, Ateret bala, Gam besimcha ובצורה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לחגתי, לקראת קלה, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila, Lechadoti, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabila. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach,
We go right into Shema, which you can find on page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
אמת.
מי כמוך ואני אדוני, מי כמוך תהא בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה ליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד.
We'll pause in our music for a moment to read together the words found in the middle of page 160, Hashkivenu. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming, to life, to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue now with our Amidah, or Tefillah, portion of our service. I invite you to rise, so we will recite the first few prayers together and then transition into our moments of silent meditation.
Adonai sefatei tivtachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, U'mevig Geulah livnei bneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye metim atah rav l'shoshia, Mahashiv haruach u'morit hakashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye metim berachamim rabim, Zohomech nofalim v'rofech u'holim, U'matir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha bagevurot umido melach. Melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lahachayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hametim. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We come now to the moment in our service where we pause and we think of a prayer for healing for those in our community. For those of you who are following along at home, you may access the Misha Beirach in the e-news you received this morning, or you can follow the link in the comments. If you'd like to offer names, please type them in the comment section so we can all see them. For those of us who are gathered here in person in our sanctuary, I invite you to share names out loud of those of whom you are thinking this evening as my hand passes across the room. We add to their names the yet unreleased names of those who were injured today in the school shooting at Olathe East, as well as those who were injured in the mosque bombing in Pakistan very early this morning. So we also add a prayer for addiction and mental health struggles. May the one who blessed our ancestors bring blessings of strength, compassion, and healing to those who struggle with the oppression of addiction, emotional distress, and mental suffering. Surround us with loving kindness, grace, and companionship, and spread over us a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. Return us to our holy dignity, and restore us to wholeness of spirit, of body, and of mind. As we think of those who are in need of healing, we also turn our prayers to those who help in healing, health workers all over our city and the world during this pandemic. May those who care for the sick with their hands, their voices, and their hearts be blessed with courage and stamina. May those who pursue healing through medical skill and knowledge be blessed with insight, patience, and compassion. May all of us, the sick and well together, find courage and hope. So we turn now to our Simcha Moment. So we invite those in our community to share a special Simcha, a joy from this past week. If you are here in person and have a Simcha you would like to share, I invite you to come up to the microphone here. If you'll stand a few feet apart, each of you, and if you'll share with us your name and what your Simcha is this week, we'd be happy to celebrate together. For those of you who are watching at home on Facebook, you are invited to share your Simcha with us as well. Please type it in the comments line and hit enter. A Simcha may include a birthday, an anniversary, good news, or accomplishments of any kind. So if you're at home, please use just a few words to tell us. And if you're here, we invite you to join us on the bima.
I would share the simcha of the depth and the breadth of the music that we have in the Jewish community as a whole and here. I mean, just tonight, we are singing songs from the 1800s all the way through a few years ago. And that's pretty darn incredible, I think. Oh, probably even older than that. So just a joy to share all of this with all of you.
I wouldn't say, I could say it's a simcha. I could also say it's a nace. It's a miracle that we got through the week with our babysitter being sick. So that somehow managed to happen. So whether I call it a simcha or a nace, I'm not quite sure. So I'm hoping that we have some online. And so I'll just share a quick meditation on this evening. So in a few moments, we will officially welcome the new month, Adar Bet, or the second Adar. If you would like a crash course on the Hebrew calendar, we can talk about that later. But one new thing unique about this month is that we are taught to bring it in with happiness. As the month of Adar unfolds, our happiness multiplies. While the world this week, and especially today, may not show evidence of multiplied happiness, we do take this moment to recognize a joy, what has gone right in our world, what good we want to recognize, honor, and celebrate with our community. So we'll sing together, Shehechianu. We continue now with Aleinu L'Shabeach as we begin to close our service on page 586. I invite you to rise.
Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol Latet Gedula Leotze Breshit Shelo Asanu Kegoye Haratzot Velo Samanu Kamishpachot Adama Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem Vegor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam Vanachnu Korim Umishachavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai L'melech HaKol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo 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 Echad.
Our service now turns to our mourner's Kaddish Yatom. On the slide, it says page 593. I'm going to call a little audible here. Sorry to those at home. And let's read together on the bottom of page 291 as we direct our thoughts to those whom we have loved and those who we wish were still here with us this very evening.
595 in the brackets.
Oh, sorry, 595.
595.
Page 595, if you are in the Siddur. Yes, at the bottom. There are stars up above, so far away, we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the days we remember. Our Beth to our community is remembering, we're in the Shloshim period, the first 30 days of mourning. For Irma Katapan Dimasa, aunt of Rabbi Javier Katapan, Lola Fairchild, mother and mother-in-law of Beth and Jim Riker, and grandmother of Sam and Will Riker. Michael Levine, the loved one of Sheila Goldberg. And on their yahrzeits, the anniversaries of their passing, we remember Dr. Federico Adler, Benjamin Alpert, Abraham Maurice Berlin, Israel Birnbaum, Lillian Breslow, Sonia Bronfman, Donald Ellis, Mark Fassbinder, Harriet Fewer, Anita Finkelstein, Carol Jan Fowler, Harry Greeley, Robert Bennett Harwood, Edward Hipsch, Joyce W. Karch, Jean Kessler, Meyer Kreitman, Elizabeth Worley Deester Major, Walter Moulter, Lillian Rosenthal Opticon, Shelley Porter, Leonard X. Rosenberg, Ray Rosenblum, Edwin Sampson Sater, Dorothy Schull, Helen Shalinsky, Tilly Shapiro, Abraham Shore, Helen Silverstein, Sylvan Singer, Gay Beth Skoback, Jack Stapleton, Jeanette Stark, Mildred Swarnowski, Maurice Warshawski, Brad Weiner, and Mark Stanley Weiland. Are there any additions or corrections? On their behalf, and behalf of those who do not, someone to say Kaddish Yatom for them, I invite you to rise and join me on page 598 for Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Israel, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemayim. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom.
This concludes the tefillah, the worship portion of our evening, and I am delighted to welcome to the Bima Hilary Cohen Singer. She is the Executive Director of Jewish Vocational Services. Hilary joined JVS in 2010 and has been its Executive Director since 2014. Hilary has over 20 years' experience in nonprofit leadership, program development, and strategic planning. Prior to joining JVS, Hilary was a planning executive at UJA Federation of New York, working to support community building efforts in the Russian Jewish community. She was also assistant director of the New York chapter of the American Jewish Committee, developing programs on shared public policy concerns between the Jewish community and other ethnic and religious groups. She has been a member of the Sisterhood of Salam Shalom Dialogue Group for Muslim and Jewish women since 2016, and she currently serves as a member of the Ethics Committee for Truman Medical Center. Hilary holds a BA in Political Science from Columbia University and a BA in Modern Jewish Studies from the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. She earned her Master's of Public Administration from the Wagner School of Public Service at New York University. And I said all of that really, really fast because I want to give her as much time as possible. So I'm going to switch the slide deck over, and we are privileged to have you with us this evening, Hilary. Welcome to the Bima. Welcome to Beth Torah.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is really my great pleasure and honor to be here with you guys tonight. It has been a really weird couple of years, and I think... I'm sorry, I'm going to do this. Oh, thank you. I'm sure. I think this is one of the first ones of these conversations that I have done in person in a really long time, and I am really, really grateful to be in community with you all tonight. So I am going to talk a little bit about JVS and Refugee Resettlement and the work that we have been doing recently with the Afghan community that we have been really privileged to welcome into our city. So let's see if I can make this move forward. Second to bottom one. There we go. So this is JVS. We were founded in 1949 in Kansas City here to provide support to Holocaust survivors, to help them make their way in our city. And we quickly expanded services to work with anybody who needed that kind of support to integrate. That's really what is at our core, is to help people accomplish their goals and become part of our community. And we are really, really lucky to continue to be able to do that. You know, if I was saying this a couple of weeks ago, what I usually say is we are really, really lucky that there are not large numbers of Jewish people who need this service at this particular point in time. And it feels a little bit heavy right now to think about the individuals that are fleeing Ukraine, large numbers of the Jewish community from Ukraine. And that is why organizations like JVS, like HIAS, who sponsors this Refugee Shabbat, that's why they exist, so that we can provide the service to anybody that needs it, but also so that we can be prepared if there are members of the Jewish community that need this kind of refuge, that we have institutions and infrastructure and plans in place to be able to offer that welcome to people who are fleeing their countries. So our work is in a few different areas. We focus a lot on health, and we focus a lot on jobs, right? Those are the two sort of fundamental underpinnings of having a successful life, two of many, but those are the ones that we focus on. So what is a refugee? Just a little definition refresher, right? Somebody who has a well-founded fear of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group, right? So people who are fleeing their country for no other reason than who they are, how they were born, and they face fear for their lives because of that circumstance. The numbers are a little bit small up on the screen, and numbers don't always tell the full picture, but I think there's something about the numbers here that are that's pretty powerful to spend at least a minute on, which is that there are 84 million people at this point in time in our world who are forcibly displaced. They've had to leave their home for some reason. Some of them have crossed a border, and there are 26.6 million of those people who have crossed a border and therefore fall under the legal definition of being a refugee and are able to access the protection offered by the United Nations High Commission on Refugees. So when we talk about our work, we talk about 26.6 million refugees, and I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time figuring out what that number means. It seems so big. And so 26.6 million people is roughly the entire population of Australia. Or, I looked this up today, these are the least populous states in the United States, and it would take all of these to equal 26.6 million refugees. Missouri isn't on there, but Kansas is. So that's a lot of people that we are talking about worldwide who are in this circumstance where they are displaced. They are not able to access support for their basic needs, safety, security, and I think maybe as important as those physical needs, a sense of belonging, a sense of being part of a community and having a place to call their own. So just a couple of little facts. Over half the world's refugees are children, and in the last couple of years, 1 million children were born as refugees, right? This is a status, right? Being a refugee is not something that typically happens for a short period of time. It is a circumstance that happens over sometimes decades. So of this 26.6 million refugees, the number that were resettled in the United States in 2021, the last few years have not really been good for refugees and immigrants in the United States in general, so the number is pretty low. Just over about 10,000 people were resettled as refugees, and they were able to come to this country only after about an average of 17 years spent in refugee camps. And that's one of the things that I think people have the hardest time getting their heads around, me too. And it has been one of the things that has been sort of highlighted for me as all of this is happening in the Ukraine, and people are saying, well, what's going to happen? Are we going to start resettling Ukrainian people as refugees here in the United States? We're hearing about massive movements of people within Ukraine and across borders. And if we look at the history of the Refugee Resettlement Program, unless there is something different about this crisis than the global crises that have come before it, it may be a very long time before the United Nations, before our government would choose to welcome folks from this conflict as part of the formal Refugee Resettlement Program. So a little bit about what we've done in the last few years. As I said, our numbers have been in sort of a dip for a little while. And so last year, we welcomed 109 individuals into our community. And then in August of 2021, the government in Afghanistan fell, and about 70,000 Afghan individuals were evacuated to the United States. And our work sort of went like this. And so if you look at the numbers that we have done this year, we have more than almost quadrupled. My math is a little wrong. Almost quadrupled the number of people that we've welcomed in the period of October to now. So what is that, like 5 months? We have welcomed 407 individuals into our community. And if that pace keeps up for the rest of this year, which we anticipate that it is not slowing down anytime soon, that will mean 980 new members of our community that we have helped welcome and helped get on their feet. And as I say that out loud, I'm trying really hard not to hyperventilate in terms of what that means for our agency and for our services to scale up from meeting the needs of about 100 people a year to about 1,000 people a year. And I will say that engaging in this effort, it feels like we have been part of a historically unprecedented event. And I feel incredibly grateful to have been able to play a small part for our agency and for our community, to be able to play a small part in providing refuge to individuals who were fleeing persecution. So the timeline of what has happened, right? They evacuated around the end of August. They were housed on 9 military bases across the United States. They call them safe havens. They started in October to resettle people, and they closed all of the bases not that long ago, February 15th. And when they closed those bases, 67,000 people had found permanent homes somewhere in the United States. So we're now taking a deep breath and waiting for things to start up again. There are about 3,000 people that are on what they're calling lily pad sites, which are outside of Afghanistan, but not in the United States. And so pretty soon, those individuals will be coming. And what is the most hopeful for me and for the Afghan refugees that I've had the opportunity to get to know over these last few months is that hopefully our government is going to start evacuating people directly from Afghanistan who still find themselves in peril because of their association with U.S. forces. So what do? A lot. We provide for all of their needs for at least the first 3 months in the United States. And really whatever people need after that to feel like they have all of the resources at their disposal to get on with their lives, to support their families, to accomplish the goals that they have set out for themselves and start to feel like they are part of our community. So health screenings, jobs, school enrollment, classes, all kinds of services to help people integrate into our community. One of the things that we do that is a lot of fun is go pick people up at the airport and let them know how happy we are for them to be here with us. So this is one of the airport pickups that we did at the beginning part of our welcoming of Afghan individuals. And I don't know if you can tell with the mask on, that's Reverend Hamilton from Church of the Resurrection and his family. And he came to the airport with these beautiful signs and balloons to help welcome an Afghan family who is coming here to the United States. The family that he welcomed was a mom and a dad and 4 kids. And about half of the people that we welcome are families like that. Afghanis, I have learned, tend to have really large families. So 4 kids is a small family. We have families that have up to 10 kids. So we have lots of kids running around. I'll get to it in a little bit, the hotels that they've been staying at. The other half of the individuals that we have worked with are single men. And it took me a second to sort of realize that all of these single men that we were working with were not really single. They had left their families back in Afghanistan because in the chaos of the government falling, they were stationed on a military base away from their families back in the village, and they were able to make it to the airport, but their wives and their children either were not able to make the journey in time or the journey was too perilous for them to even try. And so we have probably 75 or 80 individuals here in our community now who are hoping and praying and waiting for the opportunity for them to be reunified with their wives and kids who are back in Afghanistan. And we are hopeful that at some point that will be able to happen. One of the other challenges for those individuals is life is kind of hard in Afghanistan right now, and there is a lot of food insecurity. And so many of the people who are here are working not only to support themselves, but they are working to send money back to Afghanistan so that their family will be able to meet their basic needs to have enough food to eat. I learned today, actually, I had a conversation with a client who came in who wanted to talk to me, and he does not have a job yet. He actually doesn't have his work authorization yet. That comes from the government. Everybody is able to work, but sometimes, government bureaucracy, it takes a minute, and he doesn't have his work authorization yet. And he was telling me how hard it was because his family is in Afghanistan, and he feels responsible for their welfare. And he also told me that his brother had been kidnapped by the Taliban, and his family had to pay ransom. And so they had raised from family and friends $13,000, and they were able to ransom his brother back from the Taliban. But now he feels worried because he has this debt to his family that he needs to repay. So the anxiety and the burden that's on these individuals, even though they're here in the United States, that continues. And that is one of the things that our agency, we try to provide, not just the physical resources that people need, but also the emotional support to help people get through a really unimaginably challenging time in their lives. Oops, wrong way. So typically what we do is find places for people to live and set up homes for them. So many people have come in a short amount of time that we still have about 80 of the 350 people that we have resettled this year living in a hotel because they have come in so quickly that we haven't been able to find permanent housing for them. But slowly, what we will do is find them a place to live where they can integrate in the community, where their kids can go to the neighborhood school, and they can start to build their lives. So this is one of our orientation classes. And I don't know if you can see, there's a little hand of somebody on the one side of the room, and there's somebody standing up on the other side of the room. Those are our two interpreters. And so all of our classes are given in the language that clients speak. So Afghan individuals speak either Pashto or Dari. So we have our Dari interpreter on one side of the room and our Pashto interpreter on the other side of the room. And it takes a very long time to get any information across. But we make sure that we do it in a way that people can really understand and take in all of the information. The other thing that is interesting about this photo is that it's all men. So when we offer our classes, generally, the men come to the classes, and then we offer women's classes separately from this to be culturally competent and to make sure that everybody is comfortable accessing the services that we offer. I think one of the other interesting things that I have learned in working with this population, so we focus a lot of energy around education and learning what you need to know to be in the United States. So we do that for men, and we also do that for kids in terms of school enrollment. And a decent number of the young women that we are working with lived in places in Afghanistan that even before the Taliban took over, they lived in Taliban-controlled regions, and the girls never had the opportunity to go to school. So we have young women, 12, 13, 14 years old, who are enrolling in middle school and high school, and this is their first opportunity to go to school. And I had the real honor of participating in the school orientation for one of these families, and we gave the older girls their backpacks to go to school. That's one of the things that community members have been really generous about and have provided school supplies. So we gave these girls their backpacks so that they could start going to school. And I have never seen such excited people in my life. The whole family was jumping up and down, singing and dancing, so excited that the girls in their family would be able to access education. So the last thing that I'll share, so this is one of the community dinners that we did where we brought together people from, our Kansas City community here, and some of our new Afghan friends to come together and share a meal and get to know each other, because I think at the end of the day, our services are important, right? It is important to get healthcare. It is important to enroll in school. But I think maybe one of the most important things is to feel like you belong, right? And to feel like you have a place, that this community is now your home. And one of the things that we do is try to facilitate those opportunities for people so that our new neighbors feel like, right, this is the place that they can call home. This is where they can raise their family and accomplish their goals and feel like they belong somewhere. One of the things that is getting in the way of them feeling that sense of like permanence and security is that for many of them, our government is sort of figuring this out as they go along. And so many of them don't have permanent status in the United States. They're here as, I think the technical immigration status is as humanitarian parolee. And that's a temporary status. It expires after 2 years. And so everybody who has come will need to adjust their status, file for asylum, which, if anybody knows anything about what the immigration courts are doing right now, that is a very, very long process. And so there is a bill in Congress called the Afghan Adjustment Act that would provide these individuals with permanent status in the United States and a really clear pathway to getting a green card and then citizenship, so that they could feel like they belong somewhere. And it's really interesting, of all of the things that people ask about, all of the things that clients are nervous about and show up at our agency and want to talk about, the number one thing is their immigration status, right? They want to feel like they have a place. And so if I can make a request of all of us here, is to pay attention to that bill. Hopefully it will be introduced in Congress soon. And let our elected officials know that individuals who have served our country, who are in our community because they fear for our lives, because of the service that they gave to U.S. forces, that they deserve to feel like they have a place they can call home. I think those are the end of the remarks that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if we have time for a couple of questions, if anybody has one.
Questions will go through Leslie so that she can repeat them into her microphone, which is then broadcasting for home. And for those of you at home who can hear me but not see me, feel free to type your questions in the chat if you are watching on Facebook. Oh.
Do you coordinate with other organizations like Catholic Charities and other organizations that specifically have refugee-based services?
Yes, 100%. So JVS is on the Missouri side of the state line, and Catholic Charities is on the Kansas side of the state line. And because it's a government program, that distinction matters. And so we provide really similar services, just on either side of the state line, and we collaborate all the time. We share resources, we hold meetings together, and it is really wonderful to be part of a community that has multiple refugee resettlement agencies so that we can learn from each other and coordinate to best serve the individuals that are making their way to our city.
You said many of these individuals served alongside the military, helping us out while we were over there?
Yes, so the reason that these individuals have gained access to the refugee resettlement program is because they have risked their lives. They provided service to U.S. forces, and then when the Taliban took over, their lives were in jeopardy because they supported the enemy of the government, our federal government allowed them to come here to safety.
I think that is, oh, wait, yes? Do any of the children speak English that are coming over?
Do the Kansas City Public Schools have interpreters for each child, or
And do the public schools have interpreters for the children?
Yeah, it's a great question. So sometimes the kids do speak better English than their parents if they've had access to that, but most of the kids don't speak English. We are really, really lucky. The Kansas City, Missouri public school system it just opened this year. It's called the Global Academy. And for kids who are English language learners, they spend half their day at the Global Academy that is geared just towards kids who need that support, and then half of the day at their neighborhood school. And so the school has paras that are language assistants. So they may have kids in a class that speak, 5, 6, 7 different languages. And then they have, so the teacher provides instruction, and then the paras provide the interpretation for the kids.
are you able to use some of the adults that are bilingual who are refugees as some of those interpreters?
Yes. So since we started resettling individuals from Afghanistan, I think we have hired at least 4 of our clients to help provide that language access. And the schools and Samuel Rogers Health Clinic, which provides the medical services for refugees, have all hired lots of people with these new language capabilities so that they can provide service to this group of folks.
We have an online question, and that is, what can we do to help you?
I love that question. I think one of the things that you can do is look out for this bill, the Afghan Adjustment Act, and make your voice heard if it's something that is important to you, to make folks feel welcome, that we give them that dignity of feeling like they have a permanent place here in our country. I think the other thing that you guys can do is come and volunteer. We have lots of opportunities to do lots of different things, from, helping in our warehouse to sort donations, to setting up homes, to providing, tutoring and support one-on-one with refugee families. So you can find all of our volunteer opportunities on our website, and we'd love to have anybody get engaged in that.
When you have the community dinners, do some of your clients do the cooking?
Yeah, who does the cooking for the community dinners? Are the clients involved with that?
Yes, so when we did, mostly for those community dinners, we have worked with restaurants in our community that can provide that food, but we actually are having a celebration next week for International Women's Day, and the women will be cooking in their homes or in their hotel rooms if they are still there, and then bring the food to JVS to all celebrate together. So it's some of each.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And I'll add one more plug as I walk back over here. What we are doing at Beth Torah, we are doing another one of our drives. We collected soup for Jewish Family Services last time, and now we are collecting diapers. So Hilary told me how many little tushies there are that need diapers. So you'll see out in the Ulam, there are 2 pack and plays or playpens, and we hope to fill 2 of them full of diapers, typically size 3 to 5, to meet the needs of the newest young ones in our community. So you can bring donations to Beth Torah specifically. We also have an Amazon wish list if you would like to order it from home and have it delivered straight to us. The Amazon driver knows where we are. So it is absolutely a pleasure and honor. Thank you, Hilary, for being with us. Thank you for sharing the important work that JVS does. And I hadn't realized actually that it was a Kansas City specific organization. And so it makes me even prouder to now be a Kansas Citian that our community is so entrenched in making sure that our newest members feel welcome. So thank you so much. And will you stick around for a little bit for if people have individual things to ask? Perfect. So we will transition back now for just a moment. Bear with us as we
We're holistic here at Beth
slides.
Torah. We give people nourishment coming in and going out. Diapers.
All right.
It's a diaper joke.
So it's my pleasure to invite Viva Simons, our Director of Member Engagement, for our announcements this evening.
Shabbat Shalom. First, thank you very much to Hilary for sharing with all of us, and now we can do our part, beginning with the diapers. Also, thank you to Rabbi Kleinman, Leslie Zucker, Larry Meyer, and Warren Sickle for leading our service. Thank you to Dave Zucker and Peter Pizer for enabling us to go beyond our walls and live stream this service all over the world. And thank you to Scott Franklin, Ron Zipper, and Paula Fremerman for being on our Shalom Squad and welcoming all of us home to Beth Torah tonight. If you are interested in joining our Shalom Squad, it could be one Friday night, and it's a wonderful mitzvah to welcome each other back home. Like we just mentioned, we are collecting diapers through the month of March. So you will see both playpens in the Ulam, and we will be filling them to then donate to JVS. So please help us in that effort. And also, all of our thoughts and prayers go to our Jewish brothers and sisters in Ukraine. We have many opportunities on the website and in the e-news of how to support them. So please take a look. Our Shabbat celebration continues tomorrow morning with Simcha Shabbat, our Shabbat conversation at 9:00 a.m., multi-access. So all are welcome to join us in person here at Beth Torah and via Zoom. At 10:30 a.m., we will come together for our Shabbat morning service, again multi-access. And next Friday, believe it or not, we are looking towards Purim. So join us next Friday night, 6:30 p.m. for Ask the Rabbi about Purim. And you might be getting a Mishloach Manot before then, meaning you will. A few more quick opportunities. This week we have virtual Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Kotapan, Thursday, March 10th at noon on Zoom. And we are preparing ourselves to prepare Deanna Rose Farmstead for the warmer months. On Wednesday, March 16th, if you have any questions, the Franklins are here this evening, and they are glad to answer your questions. And like I mentioned, Purim is around the corner. We cannot wait to partner with many, many, many Jewish organizations throughout Kansas City for Believe in Purim at Children's Mercy Park. It will be a wonderful event. I heard that we have an unbelievable number of people registered from across our community, so don't miss out. It will be great. And 3 other quick Purim events. We have a virtual Hamantash and Bake next weekend, the Rabbinical Association's Megillah reading on Purim itself, Thursday, March 17, and last but not least, a Purim celebration at Crane Brewery, because that's what you do on Purim. So join us at the brewery for a night of connecting and drinking. It will be great. And last but not least, I am excited to sponsor Tagoneg in honor of my birthday tomorrow. So I hope everyone enjoys Tagoneg. Everyone at home, have something sweet tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Aviva. We will close this evening with an Oseh Shalom, and Leslie told me earlier that the composer that she chose is an Israeli composer. So we've had composers from all across the diaspora, and now we get to come home to Eretz Yisrael. As is our tradition of Beth Torah, for our closing song, I invite you to rise.
Oseh Shalom b'Ruma, Huya Aseh Shalom Aleinu, Le'al Yisrael, Le'al Yoshvei Tevet, Ve'imru,
Shalom.
Take care of each other out there.